Yeah, we can talk a little bit about this being more us winning or them losing. But before we do that, I do want to talk about Christian Gonzalez because we've been, me again in particular, have been questioning whether he is actually number one or maybe we just didn't get to see enough of him. He covered Jamar Chase on 20 routes. On the 20 routes that he was covering him, Jamar Chase went 3 for
Mm-hmm.
15, 3 catches, 15
Mm-hmm.
yards.
And get no fucking contract on me.
Yeah. So what do you make of that soundbite? That's a hell of a thing for a second year player to say.
Let's go. I'm here for it because once again we seen it last year. We was like, yo, when Tyreek got 5 for 40, right? That's on tape. Tyreek got 5 for 40. He was doing well in that Dallas game too before he got hurt. This is one of the last parting gifts that Bill gave to us. That man is special, and we're about to find out how good he is. Going forward. He's going to get tested next week. We'll talk about it later on the show. But he seems to be the real deal. And once again, we talked about it, you and I, in the preseason. Is it something to worry about him being torched in practice? And he didn't look great in the preseason. But hey, if you're gonna show up like this when it matters most, it wasn't just him. Keon White was special, so we get into that too. But
Special,
yeah, that's man. Whew, I'll take it. Like I said, that's going to be a lockdown guy for years to come. Give me more of that, honestly. And I love that mentality that he had. Love it.
DK, you love defensive players. So you get a second year guy coming back from injury, shutting down one of the top 5 receivers in the league. And then at the, after the game, he says, he ain't going to be getting a contract on me.
I mean, that soundbite alone was fucking sick. And the fact that it was like off camera too, like he was just like G'd up and fucking like talking that shit, which I really like. Obviously, that's what we're all here for, I think. Yeah, I think the job of like shadowing Jamar Chase isn't a fun job, regardless of what the contract situation or the QB situation is in Cincinnati. But he can still light you up. I mean, he's still Jamar Chase. Like if you're not playing well, like he's gonna just burn you, even if he's not mentally there 100% or hasn't been practicing with the team. I mean, I thought everybody's thing about CeeDee Lamb was overblown because he hasn't. It's like, dude, come on, like it's CeeDee Lamb. Like he'll just run and he'll be open and he'll get found. Like it's fine. I think it's a challenge to match up against him one-on-one regardless. I thought the thing that jumped out at me, and this isn't me dampening Christian Gonzalez, I think he played really well, and I do lean in, and also quieting the noises from camp. Apparently there was some shit going on in camp where he was getting kind of lit up or something.
Torched.
And people were saying like, oh, he's taking a regression after this injury. That's going to suck. But it doesn't look like that's the case. He definitely hasn't lost any snaps. So I think that was great. The thing that I was watching it as a more neutral observer, though, was I was like, damn, Joe Burrow looks like dog shit. I was like, I don't know if his wrist is ever going to be like good again. It's such a weird injury. I said this to you guys on 2 shows over the last couple of weeks. It's weird there. Jamar Chase decided he was going to play on Sunday. I think the Christian Gonzalez question feeds into the, did they lose? Did you win? I do think you guys came out with a great game plan. I think you would have beaten a lot of teams yesterday. But man, the Bengals look like shit, dude. They're going to come forth in that division. That's what that game told me. Joe Burrow doesn't seem interested or switched on. Maybe he's hurt. I don't know. Still, I don't know. Jamar Chase, big contract dispute stuff, obviously. T. Higgins not in the building. A lot of weird shit going on in Cincinnati right now. So yeah, I mean, you still gotta kill the wolf, though. You know what I mean? It's like you still gotta go out there and stomp him. So I don't think it takes anything away from your win necessarily. I don't think it's that cut and dry. But
yeah.
They just looked ass, though.
But
they really
since
did.
he isn't a good enough team to not put in the work in the week and come out and still beat you. Like,
I mean, I think it's great.
Kansas City could do that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, absolutely. And they always start slow. And it's like a lack of preparedness that I think Cincinnati fans, I was exploring their Reddit today, their subreddit, and they were just like, fucking, this guy's just never fucking ready for a fucking season to kick off. Like this fucking like coaching stuff, they're never fucking ready. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be fucking frustrated too, 1-5. And like, honestly, I think it's cool that like you guys went out and like did it. And I think it makes it cool that you're about to go play Seattle because both the Pats and Seattle look like though maybe they're better than we thought they were. They look a little nippy, a little crafty type teams. So it's kind of going to be a quick answer for you guys, like how you look against Seattle. So that'll be fun to sort of watch. And it's, it's interesting to pay attention to now because it's like maybe you're a little feisty. We could see.
Right.
Well, just remember, you tried to convince me that the Patriots are only going to win 2 games this year. Just remember that. And I had to fight you.
I'm still on track, to be totally
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm still kind of feeling fine about it if I'm being totally honest.
Listen, listen, I'm the one that was more gung ho about it than you, DK. Like I said, I was just for certain that they wouldn't.
Your schedule's rough.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, right? Well, I know we'll get into this because Mike has it down on the paper, but it's just, to me, it just speaks to, like, okay, if you control what you can control, and I know that sounds cliche, but
no, that's a real thing.
You control your effort, you control your attitude. And I know Mike took a shot at our head coach for us and being an overrated player.
Not a shot if it's true.
But I feel no, but allow me to finish, sir. But I appreciate it. But what I think happened yesterday is that, overrated or not, he was seen as a hard-nosed player while he was here. He was seen as a tough player while he was here. They adopted his attitude yesterday. Regardless of what you think of him as a player, what he was, what he wasn't, they adopted his attitude yesterday. And if that's the case, that, maybe they overachieved, because if you say you think that he overachieved as a player, if that's the case, then maybe they do the same thing. They go, who knows?
You need to let this go. I didn't say Gerard Mayo sucked. I just said he wasn't great. He was fine.
No, I didn't. You didn't say me suck. You just put it out. I didn't say did you say he sucked? I just said you said he was overrated. That's all. And I'm saying, if that's the case, like I said, he was, he was tough. He was hard nosed. He played hard. That team adopted his mentality yesterday. That's all I'm saying. Nothing more, nothing less.
We talked about this.
It's a positive, Mike.
We did talk about the idea of
nice.
culture changes. I think that's a lot. Like I think we talked about how difficult it is, like the Dan Campbell thing of coming in and changing the mentality and the culture of a whole organization and team and doing it quickly. I mean, we talked about how difficult that is. I'm not ready to say that that's happened yet in New England, but I think that
not yet.
I think if that's true, I mean, you guys would know more than me. If it looked like he had stamped his identity a little bit on the team, I mean, that's so positive, for the future of your franchise, because that's where you start building from.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
One thing I was going to say was I think it's interesting that the way that we're talking about this win, specifically because a lot of the players that shined through in this week were players that Bill left us. So I think there's for me, there's always going to be this other thing I want to talk about every time we talk about the Patriots. So I'm just going to warn you now, so you don't get sick and tired of it. Is if this team does better than they did last year, which I still don't think they're going to, but let's just say they do. Let's just say they get 6 wins. Again, I don't want that to happen, but whatever. And it's all their guys. What does that really say about Bill? They just tuned him out at the end, and now Gerard can actually get these guys to do what they did 2 to 3 years ago.
It's the same thing, and we talked about this analogy before, and Dave would appreciate this, him being a basketball guy, but you know where I'm going with this too, Mike. It's the same thing with Pop in San Antonio. Same thing. Once again, we know that Pop is, if he's not one of the best, he's damn sure revered as the best coach in NBA history. But once again, once 21 left, and Tony Parker leaves, Mono leaves, and you run Kawhi out of town. He's about to get a second chance with Wemby to, redeem himself to an extent. But that dude's a beast. But it's like his messages, I think, has fallen on deaf ears, and they just haven't had the talent also. And I think that's what happened here in New England. Bill had the cachet because of what he's won and what he's meant to the league and what he's meant to the organization. But his message, his philosophies, just everything that he was doing had fallen on deaf ears. And I feel like that had been the case for a few years, not just, last year. So, yeah, it seems like I think I don't know if it was Tom Curran or somebody else that mentioned about it. Players are ready to run through a wall for Gerard Mayo. So I think it's because he had the relationships already built in that locker room the last few years because he'd been on the defensive side of the ball. So when he stepped into this role, he already had some cachet with the guys, which is why Kraft probably went with that decision. Regardless of what we felt on the outside, they knew internally what he meant to that locker room and what he could potentially build into if things went right.
How dumb, Dave, are the Bengals for letting Joe Mixon go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there, to be honest. I'm not really sure what the sort of overall game plan is or what they're really going for. They seem to be hitting their timing weird on a lot of those contracts. And again, I still don't know what the fuck's going on with Burrow's wrist. But, to the Belichick point, I just wanted to say, like, I think my theory on what happened there is, and this is with no actual information, purely speculation, but
Love it.
if you're 21 in Bill Belichick's last year of coaching, you didn't viscerally experience the things that he did in the game like we did in real cognitive years. So you're sort of being told that he's a legend, which, like, I think we all know, like, yeah, you can respect guys and, like, take people's word for it, but, like, the ones you see are the ones that, like, really, like, make an imprint. And Gerard Mayo being, like, 38 and a former player, I think gives him a huge leg up on what's a pretty young team. For better or for worse on Bill's drafts, like, they're all still at least, like, molding age, right? So there's something to be said for that. And I think it's not to say that Bill Belichick became a worse coach overnight. There's just no way. But, like, he was probably really used to having a certain amount of, like you said, cachet or, like, gravitas or whatever you want to call it, where when he would say something, everybody would fucking jump and hop too. And maybe that's just not the case anymore. And also, I mean, I'm not saying he can't still do the job, but he's an older man. And, like, there's a certain probably amount of energy that is required to be an NFL head coach. I doubt it's a short work day every day.
Well,
I think they're probably in there, like, a lot, so Bill was never really, like, a rah-rah, like, man manager, like, get everybody hyped up type of coach, but it seems to be really effective to be like that in this day and age in the NFL with these kids that are coming in. So, and everybody likes it, it's box office. And Bill Belichick was, like, certainly not box office, especially by the end. Like, it wasn't like the funnest thing to do to go listen to the press conferences, gents. You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, injection of energy. It doesn't necessarily mean Gerard Mayo was automatically a better coach than Bill Belichick because he took a very similar roster and, like, but an injection of energy, context, these serendipitous things, they matter. They matter in life. They matter in football.
Absolutely.
Before we get into like the preview for Seattle, and then I want to talk a little bit about the Bears, just for you, Dave.
Okay.
Is it an overreaction to say that this game is something that they can build on for the rest of the season, still knowing that they're not going to be a contender? Or should people start thinking, well, if they can win games like this, maybe they can be a 7-8 win team? Well, based on your neutrality, Dave, what do you think?
I think if you can build it, if you can do that and become a 7 or 8 win team, you then automatically, right away, I think, get a lot of the cachet back from around the league as far as players wanting to come and play there, the sort of legacy that place has, as the last great dynasty and not really much before that, you're sort of new money in NFL circles. So when you have, like, I think the San Francisco 49ers are a really good example. Like, they're always good, right? Like, they're always good. They're always thereabouts. They're always trying to be like thereabouts. You see them in a lot of Super Bowls, and the fucking uniforms look cool as shit. So people want to go play for the San Francisco 49ers. It's just like you remember Joe Montana in that uniform. Like, you remember the guys that came before. You have to cement yourselves as that as New Englanders now. And I think that there's something to be said for. I'm usually, Mike, I'm usually like the don't be a dog shit 7 or 8 win team, but that was in a situation where I was, like, firing fucking coaches on week 2. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not going to happen. You're going to see how this plays out one way or the other, right? For better or for worse. So, and, like, you got to at least give him the Drake May year, maybe +1. You kind of have to let's see how this project works out. So at the beginning of it, excitement is great, but if he can basically outperform with what they can do as a coaching staff, it seems maybe you don't need that super, super high pick. Like, I mean, some teams, like you said, I mean, you made this point, like, on our last show, it's like some teams build great teams without a top 5 pick ever, so, and if people want to come and you free up a little cap space, which you have done, then all of a sudden your fate's, it doesn't take 4 years. Your fate's turned around in 2, which is, it's great. You know what I mean? You're a winning team again by the end of next year.
Ray, given that you wrote this rundown, it seems to me that you are you're pretty excited about this win. And so, what do you think their identity can be?
So I think it's more smack you in the mouth, running the ball. I mean, and once again, I've always been a guy, and I'm a throwback type of guy the run to me sets up the pass. And I know that's not what it's supposed to be.
Agree
now.
1000%.
Yeah, you have to throw it all over the parking lot. I get that. But the run sets up the pass. And you saw yesterday that when they got first downs with Ramondre, they was able to do what Alex Van wants to do, which is run the play action. And then, listen, he made Tyquan Thornton made positive plays yesterday. That to me would be over in a moment. You got Tyquan Thornton to get 2 catches for 27 yards. I was in awe that he was able to have 2 positive plays, more than he had it all last year. So I'm thankful already to Alex Van for that moment alone. So I'm cool. We got that out the way. But yeah, running the ball, playing sound and technical defense. And I think that to me is where the identity can be built. I think that they just have to continue to be disciplined. I felt like there wasn't a lot of penalties called. Once again, in the preseason, there was a penalty. I felt like every other snap.
Oh, well, so, the first 2 games of the NFL season, it was just like fucking penalty fest.
Yeah, and that's what we was talking about in the chat, and I was so annoyed because that point
so
emphasis was like, don't be behind the line of scrimmage, whatever that rule is. But it's just like, calling it on every down.
Bro, it literally doesn't matter. Is the thing. It literally doesn't.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it really
that's
doesn't.
the thing that I'm just like, why are we still talking about this? Why are we still throwing fucking flags?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, honestly. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think, like I said, if they keep running the ball effectively, just have the pass, and then just like I said, playing sound technical defense, but just like I said, keeping that discipline on both sides of the ball, and really in all 3 phases. Like I said, special teams was great yesterday too. So yeah, I just think we talked about the identity going forward, but I just think to me, and once again, I've gone back and forth on this stance about them losing. Listen, I want to be clear. The priority for me is still Will Campbell. I want to be clear, but right, there's a but, right? If you're able to maintain this level of play, then yeah, if that maneuvers you to get to 8-9 wins, and once again, like Dave said, you build the cachet for people to want to come here, because that should be the goal anyways. You build through the draft, and you get your final pieces, to give credit to Dave for what he said a few weeks ago. So that's what I ultimately want. I'm not trying to be sitting here in 2032, still waiting for them to make at least the first or second round of playoffs. Like, I'm not trying to wait that long. So if we can get this within a 2-year span, as opposed to 4 to 5, sign me up.
I mean, listen, if they can win 6 or 7 games, now again, these are still big ifs. I'm trying not to overreact, but I think it's worth talking about. If they can get to 6 or 7 wins with this squad, you would think after a year of developing, Drake May would be able to come in next year and add 2.5 to 3 more wins.
Absolutely.
And now you're at your 9 to 10 wins, and you figure out free agency, right?
Exactly, correct, right? Because they got cap space in 2 years. So I'm like, figure it out. Figure it out.